Well, hello, my friend. I'm your host, Conny. Thank you for joining me today and allowing me back into your ears. Today, I want to continue with the big vision conversation, like I talked about last week in episode 298. And today's episode is about the word of the year and how it ties into my planning of 2026. So a quick question. Have you ever in the past picked a guiding word for the year? And if you have, did you experience also that a few weeks in, or maybe a few months in to the year, you thought to yourself, well, that's not really working? Because yes, the same. And in a minute, I tell you why that is, or how I discovered for myself what happens here. But first, I want to make sure that you stay with me until the end because I'm adding a short bonus for you, a mini process to help you decide your word for 2026, especially if you have already been collecting words for a while and you can't decide. So, a few days ago, I met with a client who's also a friend, and they told me they have picked guiding words, but they feel it's not working. So to that I said, well, in my experience, that is totally normal. Again, my experience is sometimes a guiding word feels like it's doing nothing, at least when we're sitting in it or during the year. And that is until we look back and we realize it was really quietly kind of shaping us, shaping our life and shaping our business the whole time. But when we were in the middle of it, we thought it makes no difference. But then later, in retrospect, we can see how it influenced our choices, our boundaries, our focus, and even our relationships. Also for me, just as a little side note, a guiding word is not a goal or a resolution. It's more like the theme for the year that I want to pick. A theme, how I want to experience the year. Something that helps me shape my intentions and actions throughout the year. It helps me stay aligned with the energy I want to cultivate for myself and for my business. So that conversation with my friend and client made me think, I really want to share my process and my experience with a word for the year here on the podcast with all of you. And that's what this episode is about. And since I started picking a word for the year, and that was back in 2020, so in 2019 I picked one for 2020, I've always tied it in with my Winter Solstice ritual. So nothing fancy, it sounds fancy ritual, but nothing fancy, nothing crazy. It's just a way to create an intentional moment. And if you listen to this episode when it comes out on December 22nd, 2025, yesterday was the Winter Solstice, Sunday, December 21st. But as I'm recording this, of course, the Winter Solstice is still ahead of us. And so I can't tell you what word I decided on or what card I pulled, because I always also pull a card. So I can't tell you that yet, but I can tell you what happened in the past, what cards and words I decided on, and what happened. But first, let me tell you real quick my short Winter Solstice ritual. I light a candle first, safely of course. Then I write some limiting beliefs or mental clutter on paper, stuff that I want to let go of, stuff that bothers me, right? And then I safely burn them in the wood stove. And if you don't have a wood stove, you can use a fire-safe bowl or put the paper through the shredder or simply tear them up and toss them in a wastebasket, right? Like, it's not about the method, how you get rid of it. It's more the act of letting go. Then the second thing I do is I draw a guiding card for the coming year. Usually a card from one of my animal oracle decks. The reason is so I also have a guiding animal for the upcoming year. And in 2024, by the way, I started to put this card, the animal or whatever card you're pulling, I take a photo of it and then I put it as my phone wallpaper. And this way, it's a daily reminder of the message, and I'm reminded every day of what the theme of the year is, or what my intention and of the theme of the year is, right? And I will continue that. So I did that for 2 years now, and I really love it. And I also want to say is like, if you want to do the drawing of an oracle card, but you don't have an oracle card deck, you can also draw one online. Diana Cooper's website has a digital archangel animal cards that you can draw. I will put the link in the show notes. And then lastly, that's where the guiding word for the year comes in. So throughout December, I already have been thinking about what word I want to pick for the coming year. And sometimes I get an idea or a sign in nature or just something like somehow these words come to me. But then I can't decide, and that's why I have at the end this bonus, right? How to decide. But maybe it's crystal clear what word it needs to be for the year. So whichever way, right, I end up with a word for the year. And that is my little winter solstice ritual. See, nothing fancy, nothing crazy, but it's just a beautiful moment to slow down for a minute and like tune in to what you want for the next year. And so, since I can't share my 2026 word with you yet, I thought I'd quickly look back together with you at my past words of the year and how they have impacted me. And also a little bit just to show you how this works in real life, or at least in my life. So again, the first word for the year I picked at the solstice of 2019 for 2020. And back then I picked soar, in like soar like an eagle. Because that year, 2019, was a really hard one for me. And as it turned out, then 2020 was also a very hard year. But 2019 was really when kind of my life fell apart. And so that year, I even picked a word for every single month of the year of 2020. Like I started with courage for January, discernment for February, focus for March, and so on, because I needed all the support I could get to lift myself out of this rock bottom that I felt. It was really a hard year for me, 2019 and 2020, not because of the pandemic, but because of personal reasons. But I'm not going into that here. But it was also the year I started all these beautiful rituals. So they really helped me come back to myself and to focus. So then for 2021, at the solstice in 2020, I picked the word on fire and free. The reason was because the card that I pulled was the horse spirit card. And on there it said, freedom is yours. And so I wanted to have more freedom. And after that challenging 2 years of 2019 and 2020, I was very exhausted, and I also wanted to have more mojo, or I wanted to have my mojo back. So that's why I picked fire. And freedom came from the horse spirit card. So my words were on fire and free. So I had more than one word. But we can break rules, right? I can have more than one word. So yeah, that was that. And then for 2022, my word was loyalty. And the reason was that I had also pulled dog spirit card. On there it said, be loyal to what you love. And it was, again, a way of getting back to myself. I took it as be loyal to what I want, to be loyal to myself, not giving up, fighting for what I want. So yeah, the 2022 word was loyalty. So, and then for 2023, my word was jump. And that was a little bit of a rebellious pick because the card I had pulled was Frog Spirit. And on Frog Spirit, it literally told me to clear out the clutter. And I'm like, okay. And then it also said, let go and jump. You are free from all that old stuff. And so I just picked jump because, as you know, I don't like the word clutter. And I feel like I'm living already an uncluttered life. But so I picked jump. And actually 2023 has quite the story because on the solstice 2022, when I picked that word, I was snowed in and I had a frozen water line for over 2 days, and I had to make sure sure the horses had enough water, and it was really hard and I was completely exhausted. And then I'm pulling this frog cart and I really wasn't impressed, to be honest, right? And so then I decided I needed a second card. I just couldn't deal just with this frog jump card. And I picked a different oracle card deck, and then I pulled the drum, dream and journey, which is a warrior symbol. And it suggested opportunities to dream and bring an inner vision to reality. So I liked that, so I went with that. But at first, 2023 didn't look at all like anything properly would happen, right? Like no jumping and no dreaming, because that's when I had my accident early in May and I needed surgery and I was bedridden. I wasn't allowed to move. And so no jumping. and I could dream all I want sitting on the sofa. It didn't look like anything is going to happen. But at the end of the year, looking back, there was a lot of jumping. Maybe not physical jumping, but there was jumping from mental clutter out of mental clutter, let's say like that, more into freedom. It was really, it was a year of where I mentally got stronger and made more progress. But also, one of the dreams that came true was that I was home in Switzerland for Christmas in 2023 after more than 20 years. So this was a dream come true in a way. And it wasn't planned at all. It wasn't in the cards, so to speak, at the beginning of the year. And also, the other thing that was interesting is at the solstice in 2023, I was in a completely different space. Instead of being alone and exhausted like I was in December 2022, I was in connection with my family and my friends at home in Switzerland. So this all inspired me to pick the word for 2024, and that word then was connection. Because I realized I really needed and wanted more of that. I wanted more connection. And then the card, so interesting, that I pulled at the solstice 2023 for 2024 was the animal spirit card Dove. And that told me to communicate more messages of love, peace, and harmony, which I started to do. I started to talk more about peace. Even though my business was called From Chaos to Peace before, I wasn't really talking that much about peace, but I started to talk more about peace in that year, in 2024. And by the end of 2024, I had some connection, but I felt I still needed more. And so I decided to focus another year on connection, just slightly in a different way. So for 2025, my word wasn't connection, but connected. So that I feel connected. So, what it was interesting too is like the card that I pulled was called When the Birds Sing Gratitude. And the message that came with it, and the line that I loved from that message was that gratitude is like saying thank you in advance. It's a magical, sacred act. So I haven't done a full reflection of 2025 yet, but what I can tell you for sure is that now I actually have more connection. Now I feel the word was really working. I did build more real connections. I deepened one of my friendships considerably. I really love that. And I also recently added a very new friend to my inner circle, which is also exciting. So again, I still need to do a full reflection of 2025, but I can tell already that the word, also have a similar word twice in a row. That really helped. So the point about all of this is that we can really get fooled by our own gremlin during the year when we think it's not working and this is all BS and it's we can just forget about it. But then when we look in hindsight, maybe it even needs more than a year. Maybe you need to look back 2 years to actually realize, oh, wow, yes, it actually does work and it did help me stay focused and it did help me achieve what I wanted to achieve. Hindsight 2020, as the saying goes, right? And this is also why reflecting the past year or reflecting in general really, really matters. And in a moment, I give you that promised bonus, my mini choose your word process that helps you decide what word you really want to use if you have several to pick from. But before I do that, I have a quick invitation. So, as I said, my solstice ritual is also connected to my 12 Holy Night ritual. And the 12 Holy Nights, they're also known as Rauhnächte in German. And they have the roots in the Christianity and in pagan traditions. These are days out of time, so to speak, in no man's land and no man's time. Neither fully part of the old year, nor of the new year, right? So it's a little mystical thing. And these 12 nights also offer us a unique opportunity to pause, reflect, and release what no longer serves us before we're stepping into the new year with really deliberate intention. So plus, each of these 12 nights correspond with one of the 12 months of the coming year. That's why these nights are often also called omen days, as they are believed to offer glimpses and clues of what's to come. So if you are intrigued, you can join me for the 12 Holy Night experience. And to learn even more what it's all about, you can listen to last year's podcast episode 244. I will put the link in the show notes too. And I also put the link to join me for the 12 Holy Nights in the show notes. What it means is you will receive a short email 12 days in a row with guidance on how to structure that ritual and how to celebrate each single night. Okay, and now as promised, to pick a word for the year can sometimes be really hard, especially when we have 5 good options or more and we can't decide. So here is an idea and a simple way to choose. 1, you look at your list and circle your top 3 words. The 3 words you come back to the most, right? Then step 2, for each of those words, ask yourself, if this would be my guiding word for next year, what would change on a random Tuesday? Then you name one real action or one real choice on such a random Tuesday that would be different if you had that word as your theme for the new year. And if you can't name anything tangible, it might be a beautiful word, but not your guiding word. And step 3, if you still have more than one word to choose from after step 2, ask yourself, does this word bring me back to myself? Not with pressure, not with hustle, but back to myself, back to more peace. The word that feels like a homecoming is usually the one that we want to pick. Or if that is too abstract to you, here's another option. Choose the word that feels like growth, that feels it stretches you, that feels a little bit scary and uncomfortable. That might be the right word for you. And here is a mystical twist that you can use if all else fails. If you pulled an oracle card for the year, you can let that card decide and have the final vote what your word for the next year will be. You ask yourself which word matches the message of the card the best, or the feeling of the card, right? And here you have it, done. Okay, my friend, that was it for this week. Thank you for listening all the way to the end and for being a supporter of the podcast. I wish you happy holidays and meaningful days with family and loved ones. Have a beautiful week. Talk to you next time. Take good care and be safe.